I'm excited about this week's guest. He's a former second-round pick in the NFL who would go on to have a decade of a career where he was one of the better linebackers of his generation. And then post-career, bounced around a little bit. What do I want to do? Became the special assistant to the general manager in Philadelphia. And now, a couple years after doing that, Connor Barwin, his title is the Director of Player Development for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he is joining us today on The Season with Peter Schrager. What's up, Connor?
What's up, Peter? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love having you on. One of the main reasons we're doing this and we're linking up is because of this Philly special Christmas special of 2023. Now, you might, as listeners, have heard about this. This is the brainchild of not only Connor Barwin, but of Jason Kelce. And if you're not aware of what it is, Connor, why don't you give us just an idea of what the Philly special Christmas special is?
Yeah. Hold on one second. So, last 2 summers ago, I was in the locker room and Kelce and Lane were there, and they said, maybe sometime we should make a Christmas record. And I was like, guys, we should do it right now.
It's not bad in the middle of the summer.
I was like, that's a good idea. Let's just do it right now. You, Lane, and Jordan Mailata, you guys can all sing. And so I called Charlie Hall from the War on Drugs, and he was like, yeah, I can help you guys do it. Long story short, we got together, and so we put out this record last year. You can see, and I was hoping, people would like the music, and maybe we would raise $50,000 to charity, and that was it. Like, when we first met, they were like, let's take it serious and make really good music. Let's have a lot of fun doing it, and then let's do something good with it around the holidays. And so I was like, yeah, $50,000, that'd be awesome.
Cool goal. Yeah.
Fast forward, people loved it. The Eagles had a great season. That helped. We obviously lost in the Super Bowl, but we sold, over 20,000 records, and we donated almost $1.3 million to Philadelphia organizations. And so fast forward, we were like, well, we should do this again. And now the second volume is out, which is 11 songs, an original song written by Jason. And we've already doubled our sales from last year, and they're still on sale now.
All right, you just kind of blew past the first part. You're like, yeah, so I called Charlie Hall from the War on Drugs, which is, if you're not familiar, go find him on Spotify, wherever, one of the most popular bands of the last 10 years. Like, you must have had a relationship with them. Are they a Philly band?
Yeah, they're a Philly band. I knew Charlie. So my background, I have a foundation in Philly, and I started in 2013, and I have a show every summer. And the War on Drugs played MTWB, my benefit show in It's actually funny. It was 2017. It was the year I left Philly and I was playing in Los Angeles. It was the one concert we ever had where I wasn't physically there, but I had booked it a whole year ahead of time. So anyways, Charlie, that's how I got to know Charlie and the whole band, and became friends with Charlie. And I just knew how connected he was in the music scene in Philadelphia. Philly has a really big music scene, a great music scene, great music history. And he was the perfect person to call. To make this happen. I mean, he can put it all together. He has sort of the vision, and then he knew all the musicians to call to help make it happen. So it would not have happened without Charlie Hall.
Yeah, you've got a really cool history with Kelce. You guys went to college together at Cincinnati, and you played ball with him. Obviously now, people's sexiest man, the whole thing, his brother's dating Taylor Swift, but you know Kelce from his teenage years. Talk about your friendship and kind of the man that he's become and how you've seen him grow and mature, and the two of your friendship now as you're working for the Eagles now for 4 years, and he's still one of the star players.
Yeah. It's really cool. Really happy for him and his family. He, I don't want to say he hasn't changed from when he was a walk-on at UC, because he's definitely changed and grown, but he is still sort of fundamentally the core person that he was when I met him. This smart, creative, articulate, extremely hard worker, humble, all of that from when he was a walk-on at UC to getting a scholarship to winning a Super Bowl with the Eagles to putting out a movie last year to the #1 podcast. I mean, all of it, all those things he hasn't changed. But so happy for him his family. And we're working on stuff together. I mean, we started a record label together to make this record. We started a production company to sort of put out his document film last year. So the guy is super smart, really creative, like I said, and it's been a pleasure for me to sort of work with him and help him sort of take these ideas he has and turn them into something real.
You've always been such a big thinker, but also I would say a renaissance man in a way. Like I remember when we would interview you and you were on the Texans, you were always doing stuff in that community with the Eagles. I remember there was a lot of stuff you did with like the playgrounds in Philadelphia. That was a big initiative of yours. You always seemed to get it when you were a current player. Where does that come from? How did you always know that this is more than just a sports and I'm going to use this platform to do bigger and better things?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my parents were sort of like always engaged and pushed me and my brothers to do stuff. I just, I love football. Like I still spend all my time on football, and it's the greatest. But I do think doing other stuff outside of football complements my ability to sort of be good at football, even in my post-playing days. Like I think having sort of some business stuff going on keeps my mind sort of energized and creative, and all of it, it all sort of works together and fits together. So I'm just, trying to find opportunities to create things that, people enjoy. And, in the end, I think it benefits, what I do, day to day, still being involved in football.
If the listeners are like, I remember Connor, you were awesome. Like 2011, you were a defensive player of the month in November. That season, you had 11 and a half sacks. You played in all 16 games, and these were Texans teams that were going to the playoffs every year.
We were rolling back. That was J.J. Watt's first couple of years. Brian Cushing, D'Amico Ryans,
Mario Williams. Like
anybody remembers the Letterman jackets? That was my dumbass and Sean Cody bringing the Letterman jacket.
Was that your idea? The history goes, you guys are going up to Foxborough. It's a big game against the Patriots. Patriots have Brady, Edelman, the whole crew. They're loaded, and you guys show up in varsity jackets, and then they kicked your ass on a Sunday night, if I remember. What was is that the story? Do I have it pretty much summed up right, or was there?
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it. I mean, it was me and Sean Cody, and look at I'm not ashamed of the Letterman jacket.
It's a cool idea.
We were a connected team. Like those little things on teams are fun, and me and Sean were like, this is like we felt like a high school team, which is why we were so good. I mean, we were 11-1. We went to go play them, and the funny part is I cannot believe we convinced 60 guys to buy I went back and everybody bought their own Letterman.
Get your own.
And they are sweet. And so we all wore them, because it's hot in Houston, so we need jackets to go down to New England. We thought we were going to whoop their ass. They whooped our ass. But yeah, it was, people still bring it up to remind you what actually happened was we went there 11-1. We lost.
Yep. We
came back, and I think we had to win 2 of the last 4 to have the number 1 seed, and we went 1-3 down the stretch. We lost the number 1 seed, had to go back to New England in the playoffs, and lost again. So everyone talks about the Letterman jacket, but I will say when I stopped playing, my wife asked all my former teammates to send little videos. Yeah. And every single guy from Houston made a little video, and they pulled out their Letterman.
They had it still. So
I still got this Letterman jacket.
Jacket, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's at the time it was, who are these? All the talk shows are like, no, it was a cool memory. It's something we all have together.
Exactly. It ended up being a cool memory that we still mess around about.
You guys were rolling, and then you signed with the Eagles in 2013. Was that Chip Kelly Eagles? What team was that?
That was Chip. So Chip's first year. So we did, everybody knows the history. If you don't know, Chip came for 3 years. The first 2 years we won 20 games. And then the third year, so everything fell apart. And then I was here with Doug Peterson's first year. Mm-hmm. And then I left, and then Doug won the Super Bowl the year after.
And you go to coach with, play for our mutual friend, Sean McVay. I only say mutual friend. I'm at McVay's wedding, and who's there across the table from me? Mr. Connor Barwin. And we were hanging there. And I remember when you got to L.A., they were like, this guy's going to be a coach or a GM or be the commissioner. I mean, I remember Sean was just blown away with the professional that you were.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would have loved to win a Super Bowl with the Eagles that year, but I am so thankful that I got to go out there and play with Sean and Witt and Aaron and I mean Jared Goff. I mean, there's so many good guys on that team. This was unbelievable. Got to know you out there. Um, so it was really. I mean, if you remember, we were a really good team that year. We lost in the playoffs
Falcons,
to
right?
Atlanta. Pharaoh Cooper, what's up,
Mm-hmm.
Pharaoh? Hope you're doing well. I think we had 2 turnovers on special teams, and like we defensively couldn't get the ball. It was just, I still say to people that was probably one of the best teams of my 10 years. That might have been the best team. That was the best team. That was the best team I was on.
Saturday night playoff game. The Falcons had just been to the Super Bowl, but they got back, and it was that year that it was like everything was clicking for the Rams. You're right. Farrow had a couple mistakes on special teams, and then I think Julio killed you guys. Like he just kept on
Yeah,
making one big play after another, and that's a team that no one remembers because the following year or 2 years later they go to the Super Bowl, then they finally win one. But like that first year, the first McVay year, you were there for that ride.
yeah, yeah. We were all. I mean, Todd had an insane year. Todd Gurley was like unstoppable. Yeah, it was at the Coliseum Saturday night. We lost to the Falcons. Yeah, we defensively wasn't good enough. But I think the Rams went to the Super Bowl the following year and lost.
Yep.
Was it McVay's second year? And then the
Yep.
next year they won the Super Bowl.
I think
Or
they
2 years
lost. They
later.
went back down and then they came back up.
Yeah,
They
that was
lost to the
it.
Packers in a playoff game of COVID. They won, but you were there for the start of it. Giants for a year, and then you're like, I'm done. Right? Is that the career
Yeah,
story? And then
yeah,
it's what now?
yeah. So then I always knew I wanted to be close to football. Just like like I said, I mean, I love football, but I always know I want to do some other stuff. And so Howie, said, hey, when he cut me, he said, hey, when you're done playing, come work for me. And so I did that. And so I started working full time with the Eagles in 2020. And then at the same time, I went to Wharton and got my MBA.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
During the COVID season, you're working for the Eagles in the building or remotely in the building.
During the COVID season, congrats, credit to Roger Goodell and everybody that we did it
I know.
during COVID. It was crazy. But yeah, I was in the building in 2020. And then I started business school the year after in 2021.
And you're going to classes physically at Wharton at University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yeah.
What
On the weekends. On
What's
the
the
weekends.
MBA? What was it for?
Um, just so I could figure out how to put out a Christmas record and make it successful.
I
So,
have to
but it's,
imagine you were interacting with incredible classmates and peers, but probably were learning from just leaders of the industry too.
yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. So many great professors, so many good friends now. Um, it was probably the hardest thing I ever did in my life. It was harder than my rookie year. It was actually, yeah, it was. I mean, it was
Like
so
what? Like group
challenging.
projects? What are we talking about? You
Uh,
always hear about these players going back to school, and I'm like, oh, but like to go to Wharton is not like I'm getting my degree on universityofphoenix.com or something. This is like the real
yeah,
deal. You went and got an MBA from Wharton.
yeah, like tests. I mean, like microeconomic tests and like accounting tests and research papers and yeah. I mean, I think the group stuff. I thrived in the group
Yeah.
setting because like I know how to work with the team and what my strengths are. Like I think I helped some of my other classmates in those sort of
Yep.
environments. But no, it was like I don't know how to do math. I gotta learn how to do math. But happy I did. I mean, I gotta get I don't. Annie Wilson was a marketing professor I took.
Okay.
I took a consumer behavior class, and the rollout of this record, from the artwork to how we put it out, I just like copied everything I learned from that class into that record. So
And give us those
shout out.
lessons. What was it? You need to have because like the album cover, if you're listening and not looking, the album cover almost looks like a Peanuts cover. It's got an animated 3 faces. It's Myalata, Kelsey, and Lane Johnson, and then it's got a Christmas tree. But there's more to just the album art. There's a
Yeah.
rollout and promotion. And what did you learn from Andy Wilson?
Annie Wilson. I mean, it's a combination of things. I mean, on the rollout, what she sort of taught us was first sort of the slowly dripping out the content, creating the story, the sort of 3-tier pricing. People, probably don't want to hear about this, but how you
No,
anchor
this is
somebody.
interesting.
Yeah, you anchor somebody on something. For example, we charged people 3 things last year, and again, this is all for charity, so I
Yeah.
felt like it was a good thing. So for you could buy magnets
Okay.
of the guys, but we said they cost $25 to buy. It really cost us like a
Sure.
couple dollars to make. But in your mind, you're like, oh, that's worth $25. Then you charge a record, the vinyl record 75. And so people are like, all right, that's worth 75. And then you put a bundle together. People don't realize when they go to Costco, it's all just bundling. And then you sort of like, and then we had something really expensive, and then we sort of brought it together, and people think like, oh, I'm going to buy that because I'm saving all this money.
Yeah, all
Really,
together.
we just made it all up.
And it's all for
But,
charity, so it's great. But
yeah,
like that kind of stuff where it's not just, all right, here's a vinyl record, $50, and here's
yeah,
a picture of Myalata on the cover. Boom, go buy
yeah.
it. Like there's an actual process to the.
Well, and even more so, what I was really getting to is we studied this like cool framework. If you go to some business schools, they teach you like what cool is, and this is sort of like being able to pull from the most famous iconic record cover, but not infringe on any of sort of their IP.
Mm-hmm.
Is like if people ever study Supreme, like that's what Supreme did. They stole all of that from. Now we wouldn't say stole,
But their
sort of like
inspiration was other brands.
inspired. So like
Yeah.
this was all like inspired by the Charlie Brown Christmas, which I would have never thought of unless I took that class.
Okay. Kelce, Lane, and Myalata. You said that Kelce performs his own song. He penned it himself. It's called Santa's Night. Because it's not a goof. This is not an Adam Sandler doing like goofy tunes. This is like actual Christmas carols, and the guys' voices sound wonderful. And I saw the Jordan Davis clip. He sounds like,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like it's Sunday choir. Did you know these guys could sing? How did it come about?
So I knew Jason could sing. I knew Jason. I didn't know he would write a song. I knew Jordan could sing because he was on The Masked Singer. I knew Lane. Lane is like a freakily talented person.
Just like in all, because like I think of Lane,
Everything.
he's in a cabin somewhere in Oklahoma, and like that's like, and then he comes out and he can do just anything he needs to do in that moment.
Yeah. Like we were. He can like this. He can like do an impersonation of anybody. He can like look at someone and do this like crazy like look-alike. He just like he'll pull things from movies from 15 years ago. So like that sort of genius. But I knew they all could sing. I knew Jordan Davis could sing just from the draft. Like in my role now, I'm involved in sort of the draft process, and like I knew the music background with him. And this year, we sort of wanted to sort of open it up and get more people involved, and it was really cool to have him involved. And you heard his voice; it's unbelievable.
I didn't know his background. I knew that he was one of the most dominant players in the history of college football at Georgia. When he would get off the bus, he'd be like, "Who is that?" And he's got the voice of an angel. Where did you discover that? Was it just reading up on him or doing the research when you guys go through the draft process?
Yeah, just interviewing them and reading up on them and the whole process. I mean, we get to know these guys really really well, and I think organizationally, not to get in my role too much, but we believe the football season is long and hard, and we want to embrace these guys' other interests, right? Because think of like the great athletes you've been around. They usually have something else that they're interested in. Obviously sports is the main thing, but they have some sort of creative outlet or, just an outlet from football that they go to and sort of brings them joy and confidence. And so we try to, encourage the guys to lean in on that a little bit. And like getting Jordan to lean in on his sort of, what he likes to do around music in this way with this record was a really, really good opportunity.
What is the role you do now? Because you go from assistant to the general manager to more of a. I almost think of it, and there's so many great guys in your role around the league, but it's not like a camp counselor of sorts. But you're the mentor in the building. Who I played the game, but I can also be, your sounding board, and I'm also still employed by the team. It's kind of this weird bridge, right?
Well, so you're thinking you're thinking I'm in a player engagement role.
Different role. Okay.
Different role, but I work hand in hand with player engagement. But in those people in those roles are awesome. They do exactly what you do, what you said. I'm in player development, which is something Howie started.
So what is player development? Because I don't even know that title.
Yeah, it's like a secret in Philadelphia. Yeah, so I can't give you I can't give you everything we do, but yeah, I mean I'm focused my focus in collaboration with the coaches, the performance staff, Howie, everyone is, I would say, sort of the bottom part of our roster. Whereas if you look, in the NFL, everybody is so focused on the guys that are playing.
Yep.
And we are here, obviously, of course. But sort of me and a group of people, we're sort of trying to sort of build a little bit from the bottom up and make sure those guys that aren't playing are getting the same attention, coaching, feedback, support that we give, the 45 guys that are playing on Sunday. So, when they're ready, when their opportunity comes, they're ready to step in and play and take advantage of the opportunity.
You've been there since 2020, so you were there for the entire Jalen Hurts rise to stardom. You're there every day with him. He doesn't give much to the media. He doesn't really do the look at me, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, all that stuff. What kind of guy is Jalen Hurts, and what have you seen as far as leadership qualities go?
Well, Jalen's obviously awesome. I think Jalen is a perfect example of what we try to, what you want everybody to do, and that's sort of understanding sort of small, gradual improvements. When people ask me about Jalen, I say it's just like he is an example of compound interest. Like, I was here with him for 2 years, and the guy, nothing me, he just had it. Like, he was just so focused that every week he got a little bit better. Every month he's been here, he's got a little bit better. And sort of, you saw last year, it just sort of, it was going, and then it went like this. And like, that's what happens. If you can sort of have sort of this short-term focus on getting just a little bit better every day, every week, while having sort of a long-term vision of where you want to go and stick to it, anybody, can really, it'll pay off after some time. And he's a great example of that.
Last year, you guys went to the Super Bowl. You come up just short. This year, you start off red hot. We're recording this after the San Francisco game. What makes this team different from last year's team? Because I know everyone just looks at it and it's like, oh, well, the Eagles, same squad. But every team we know and every locker room is different year to year. What is kind of the defining quality of this year's squad?
Well, I think we're just getting into it. You know what I mean? I think you said it. It's just a lot of different players, different people. The core is still here. But this is the part of the season when you find out, and so best record in football right now. But now it's like the season starts here. So we're excited. We got Dallas this weekend.
One more question about the album before we let you go. The first album included a dramatic reciting of A Night Before Christmas by Merrill Reese, who is the voice of the Eagles. And then you had Zach Miller of Dr. Dog on piano, and that came out last year. This year, the 2023 album, and like the timing couldn't be more, I would almost say eerie. Jason and Travis Kelce covering the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York. Of course, the Pogues lead singer, Shane McGowan, just passed away last week. Kind of eerie, almost poetic, and yet we've got Jason and Travis singing a Pogues song on an album that's coming out the same week that the lead singer just passed away.
It was eerie, and it was really nice that Shane. This was crazy and eerie. His last public tweet was about the cover, which the rewrite that Shane and Jason and Travis did about this sort of iconic Christmas song, and him sort of like supporting it, which was so cool. The song is it's like on top of a bunch of different charts right now. People are loving it. So yeah, it was really cool to get his approval on that, and then sort of hear that he liked it before he passed. But obviously Shane's a legend, and so to get that from him was incredible. And then I have to say, on the record, there's, we have the dreidel song.
Talk about it. I think this is important for my fellow Jewish listeners.
Howie Roseman is on the song.
And this is Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel. I made out of clay. That's the Dreidel song?
It's the best music you've ever heard of the dreidel song.
Who performed it?
There's too many musicians to name.
Is this like a Live Aid thing? Like everyone got together and performed on this?
Every song is like Live Aid. There's a whole band for every song. But But yeah, the dreidel is Jason, Jordan, Lane, and Howie doing gang vocals on the
Get
whole
out of
thing.
here! You could hear Howie's voice, like
You can hear Howie's voice, and then we have Little Dicky does a little
yes,
intro. It comes
Dave
out.
Bird.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. It comes out on Thursday or Wednesday night, the first night of Hanukkah. I believe it's Thursday night. Happy early Hanukkah, and so that's a highlight coming up.
So wait, is Little Dicky rapping on it? What's little? Is he?
He just does like an intro, but he does a full intro. If you want to hear the full intro, you got to buy the vinyl. There's a
Okay.
longer
Because
extended
I saw
intro
on
the vinyl.
Spotify the song is out. It's like a little snippet of it, but I couldn't hear Howie's voice on it. I got to download the whole thing or buy the whole album.
Yeah, yeah. You got to buy the vinyl so you hear the whole thing, or the Little Dicky will be a little bit on the digital release on Hanukkah. So that's a cool part. The Santa's Night thing, everybody, it's unbelievable.
So
I mean,
he pens a Christmas Carol. I mean, like
Listen,
really?
this guy, like the season ends, right, and it's like cold in Philly. We lose the Super Bowl, and he tells the story, and he's sitting there with his youngest, and he can't get her to stop crying, and then he starts thinking about Santa, and like, man, it must suck to be Santa on Christmas night. Like, gotta deliver presents to everybody in one night. Like, that's no fun. And so he writes this song about how it is to be Santa on Christmas night, but correlates it to like being a football player and a parent and saying it's all worth it in the end because of the joy. It's like this. It is beautiful.
It
And
is beautiful. Think about the
I remember
sacrifice that you guys make, not only in your careers, but like at the house and not being around for a lot of key moments. And I'm sure you've missed a million key moments, but you're doing it for the greater cause.
Yeah, and I could just for me, it was probably in I don't know May. I'm in the locker room in the summer. He's here working out in the morning. And he's like, "Hey Connor, I wrote a poem. Like maybe it's a song, but probably not." And I'm like, "All right, well let me hear it." And it's just me and him sitting in the locker room. And he's like hitting a box like to give it like the melody, and he just sort of says it and sings it, and I was like, "Are you kidding me, dude?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, I knew right away. I was like, dude, you just wrote like a beautiful Christmas song. I don't know how you did it, but that's amazing. So people can hear it now. Santa's Night.
Santa's
Awesome.
Night, written and performed by Jason Kelce.
Yep. Yeah. Very cool.
Connor, before we let you go, tell us more about Vera Y record label and the production work that you're doing, because I feel like this is just the start.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing. Just trying to figure it out.
That's very humble when you've got the Wharton MBA, you've got two hit albums. Like, you're doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that I got a lot to learn. But yeah. So we had to own you had to have a company, and so we started a company. And me and Kelsey, Vera's my daughter's name. Kelsey's first daughter's name Wyatt, so Vera Y
That's
Records.
awesome.
But yeah, we're working on this record. We're working on a show. We're working on a movie. So there's a lot sort of in the pipeline right now that I'm really excited about. We'll talk about it off air because you might be able to help.
I definitely can help. Guys, everyone who wants to get this, a Philly special, Christmas special 2023. The Philly special Christmas team last year raised $1.25 million for local Philadelphia charities. Connor, I think it's awesome work, but I also think you're an awesome guy and a great representative of the NFL. And for the holidays, of course, but the fact that you're always working and trying to expand things and give players a bigger opportunity to show their talents and be able to provide for charities is just cool stuff, man.
Peter, I appreciate that. You do an awesome job. And I think you sort of hit it. Like, that's for me. I think my whole 10 years I played, I just appreciated how awesome the people in the NFL are. And, Jason has been one person I've worked with a lot, but it's Lane too, it's Jordan, it's other people. And just trying to help them sort of like do sort of the creative things they have in their mind, like bring them to fruition. And so it's been fun for me to try to do that.
Let's sell a lot of these albums. Let's help charities. And I look at I'm not biased here, but if the Dreidel song becomes the hottest single in the country, I'm not going to be angry about this.
It's good. Listen, I did a lot of research, listening to a lot of Dreidel songs.
Yeah.
Not a lot of great Dreidel songs
No.
out there. They're sort of like, you call it in a little bit for kids. This one, like the music is just like sort of Bo Diddley sort of thing here we got going on. It is fun. Like you want to dance when you hear it. Like it is awesome.
I can't wait. All right, Connor Barwin, thanks for joining the podcast, man. This is awesome.
Thanks, Peter.